Hello and welcome back to Serpent Sunday. See, last week I promised we'd be back to our normally scheduled serpent-related content on Sundays, and I did not lie this time. Don't always expect that from me when I'm talking about the schedule. But this week is not necessarily going to be a less angry video, because this week we're talking about a thing that keeps ticking me off every time I'm on Facebook. Now, I live in Southern California where the snakes don't really brumate very much because we don't really get the temperatures that would require them to need to slow their metabolic pathways and wait for the off-limb time to be active. And that means we get a lot of those Facebook posts, especially from members of my own neighborhood community, suburb, not suburb, wannabe gated community, bragging about the rattlesnakes that they just took a shovel to in their front yard. So let's talk about why I absolutely hate these posts and why it's a freaking stupid idea to interact with a snake to try to kill it. Now, I'm not going to be showing any of these posts in this video for obvious reasons. They're graphic and gory and absolutely deplorable. And I mean, who really wants to see a poor defenseless serpent with its head severed? And some mindless person who is very obviously in the wrong, all proud of what they just did. But the thing that really ticks me off when I see these, and occasionally I get friends of friends tagging me in posts, not necessarily meaning to be malicious, but asking me to ID these deceased specimens. And that really upsets me as well. So even though, yes, rattlesnakes are venomous snakes happen around communities sometimes, we live in the snake's habitat, you should not just go out and kill them. They are an important part of the environment. And I understand that people have pets and small children, but the thing is, if you can, keep them inside, and more often than not, communities that do get large numbers of rattlesnakes, usually you can find a number to call that will come and humanely remove the animal and release it elsewhere. I have business cards of a couple different families and venomous snake handlers that will come and do that in my area. And even if you don't know exactly what to Google, you can usually call animal control and they can give you the number of somebody who knows what they're doing that can then remove that animal for you. Alternatively, if you do have like a Facebook community where you have people who can ID it as venomous, not venomous for you, that's also a big help as well. Some of my neighbors have figured out that I can ID snakes if they get me a good enough picture, because I did take a herpetology class. I can positively ID many of the herps in my area. However, sometimes photos aren't the best because they're blurry and some species look very close to each other. But the point here is, if you've decided that you've just seen this thing and it just has to die, I genuinely question what the hell is wrong with you. There are options to remove it. There are options where nobody has to get hurt. And if your fucking excuse is, oh, well, it's gonna bite someone if I don't kill it, you're more likely to get bitten by trying to kill it than you are if you leave the damn thing to go off on its merry way on its own. And if you don't believe me, I've linked down actually a site from the Texas Wildlife Department, their education and resources for junior naturalists on snakes. And while I disagree with a lot of things in Texas, I actually find a lot of their articles from their wildlife department and junior naturalist department are spot on. And one thing that I'm going to read you right now, the specific section that I would like people to take a look at, is this one. Prior to the 1950s, most snake bite incidents were associated with agricultural activities such as picking berries, clearing weeds, or other farm chores. Nowadays, most bite victims are people who deliberately come in contact with snakes, hunting them, catching them, studying them, and similar activities. Otherwise, snake bites usually occur when the snake is stepped on or when an unsuspecting person lifts a log or rock under which the snake was hiding. So then it goes on to talk a little bit about young children getting bitten by coral snakes, which is because coral snakes are bright colored and children are attracted to that. But that's not really the point here. The point I want to focus in on, snake bites happen when people either go out of their way to interact with an animal they should not be trying to interact with, or it's a freaking accident. So let's back up a little bit here, because you can do your own look. There have been a plethora of studies that look into the frequency of snake bites and things like that, and all the data comes back to exactly what you're going to get on these sites. I've also seen similar articles on national parks websites for different parks. This is a very common thing. This particular link is just one that I already had on hand for other things that I have done in the past. A few years ago, the school my mom works at used to invite me to bring one of my ball pythons to talk to kids about snake safety and snakes in the environment, since, again, we live in an area that is rural adjacent, I'm going to call it. They want to say they're rural, but that's questionable considering where the communities are heading at the moment. But the point is, there are snakes everywhere. And there's absolutely no reason to be putting yourself in danger and murdering a serpent that is an important part of the ecosystem, an important part of the environment. Now, I understand sometimes it may be the middle of the night, it may be in your house, and that may be your only option at the moment. And like when you go into that panic, I get that sometimes that takes over. But if it's outside, if you can keep your children and pets in for a little bit, usually they're gonna just mosey on their own, especially when they like have just had an encounter with people. We are big and scary to them. They don't want to be around us, probably more than you don't want them around you. But if you're really concerned about snakes on your property, probably the best thing you can do is keep debris and things like that picked up so they don't have hiding places, so that you're less likely to get rodents in the area that are going to attract them. And if they do end up on your property, please just call someone that is trained to handle them and safely remove them. You're only putting yourself at risk by going out of your way to harm them and antagonize them. And if you are like out in nature messing with rocks and logs and things, which I don't recommend unless you know what you're doing and you replace everything exactly how it was. Never just stick your hand under anything, and never lift something up so that if there's the little like triangle of space, you want the little triangle of space to be facing away from you, not towards you. So if there is anything under it, it'll run away from you and you're not effectively cornering it. And just don't go out of your way to kill snakes. And when you see posts like that, I've had to tell myself to stop commenting because my neighbors already don't like me very much. So it makes me sad. It's unfortunate. Snakes are very important to the ecosystem, and there's even new data out that suggests that they may even play a role as ecosystem engineers, which is really fascinating. And if you're interested in that, just head back into that Serpent Sunday playlist, and I made an entire video on that article as well that was published very recently, even though it feels so long ago now. But that's all I really have for you now. Just please stop killing snakes for no reason. Stop putting yourself in that danger. And I just find out the number of anyone that can come safely remove those animals if they do end up on your property or in your home. Again, I understand in your home is a different situation, but there are ways that they can be safely corralled while you're waiting for the person to come get them. I'm just not the one to advise you on that, since I'm technically not trained or an expert. I personally wouldn't handle a rattlesnake that showed up on my property. I would call the guy. But again, that's all I have. Sorry this was a little bit more of a ranty video and not a real deep dive into anything, but that's just how things are going to be right now. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you are doing okay no matter what has happened in this past week, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you would like to see more. And if you'd like to follow me on any of my other social medias, the links are down in the description below. Don't forget to check out thereptilegoth.com for all of my articles and blog posts. If you found any value in this video and you would like to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. That link is also in the description down below. And a special thanks goes out to my Diamond Dragon patron, Diane V. What you're doing is really helping me fund a dream here. I will see you guys all in the next one.